Hi, everybody. This is your host, Ellen Nicholas, sensuality consultant since 1981, coming to you live once again to talk about becoming the greatest physical lover. Tonight is our next to last chapter, and it's about considering the experiences of your lover when having sexual relations. First of all, I want everyone to remember we all start off as virgins. Every single one of us is pure and not knowing. And it is all of life's experiences that add to our store of knowledge. Every single moment, every single experience adds to our store of knowledge. And so, if the experiences are interesting, fun, exciting, different, provocative, they can be the fuel for the passion. But if they are scary, painful, hurtful, mean, and abusive, then that is the foundation on which a person's sexual life actually is founded. So it's really, really important to remember that no two people are the same. And no one is born a lover. No one comes out of the womb knowing how to be a lover. And they are taught basically by every single person, or if it's just one person, how to respond to another person. Everything about your sexuality is learned. And if you want it to become one of the most beautiful experiences of your life, then just like any other art, you have to remember that there are techniques and understandings and practices that need to take place so that you can have the sensitivity and the insight and the understanding to be able to administer joy to another. And that right there is the most important thing. Coming there with an attitude of giving, both you and your partner. It's best to keep in mind that every single sexual encounter is an opportunity to grow and learn, and most importantly, to give. A learning experience of synergistic energies. And that when these synergistic energies come together and complement one another, there is nothing more beautiful, exciting, or fulfilling that two human beings can experience on this physical plane, short of nirvana. Okay. And most people don't get to nirvana because most people don't meditate and they're just not that evolved. So being able to have the most explosive orgasm of your life just through knowing your body, knowing your partner's body, and for accepting pleasure into your life. It is one of the most beautiful and phenomenal experiences that human beings can have. Now, believe it or not, this is a very sexually repressive society. Yeah, there's all kinds of pictures out there of tits and ass and abs and all kinds of good stuff, okay? But the bottom line, it's all portrayed as if it is forbidden fruit, as if it is tawdry or sordid or wrong. And that's the message that people get about their sexuality, that their sexuality is sordid and wrong. And if it's not what you're seeing, then it's not even up. It's not even good enough. It's not up to snuff. So the only time there's any kind of mention about teaching people about sexuality in this country, especially, is when you're getting a warning about it. You're getting a warning that you get unwanted pregnancy, that there's STDs, that it can kill you. And that's the lesson that people are learning about their sexuality. So we walk around in a very repressive society. We're very concerned about our sexuality, and we want to push it down. We don't want to allow it to blossom, because then people might think we're freaky or that we're a dog or we're whatever. I have no idea the names people come up with for people who enjoy their sexuality. Okay, not give it away, not sell it, not exploit it, but who actually enjoy it with a partner that enjoys them. Okay. So sexual pleasure, let's get it straight, is one of the healthiest physical activities that human beings can do. You have to be pretty fit to enjoy a healthy sexual relationship. So having a good, strong heart is a good idea. And you have to exercise to be able to have a good sex life. Then you should be exercising. An orgasm in itself, not only is it good for you physically, but it's also good for your skin. It's great for your heart. It's wonderful for your mind. It's an explosion of light, which is what you are. You are light energy. E equals MC squared. You are light. And if you ever meditated and you looked inside at your third eye, you'd notice that there's light in there. And it is good for yourself. Your whole physical self benefits from a healthy sex life. So it's really a good idea to remember that every single sexual orgasm that you have is a little gift from God. Every single one. It's just sad and a little sick to consider that this beautiful and most meaningful and intimate physical practice is seen as something sordid, dangerous, and disrespected. And the only time you talk about it, or we talk about it, is when we're talking about preventing it, abstinence. We're never talking about the responsibility of it. We're never talking about the beauty of it. We're never talking about self-love. People need to be able to take care of themselves before they can love anybody else. And if you think that masturbation is a sick and disgusting thing, then you're part of the problem. Because if you don't love yourself, you really can't love anybody else. If you're not okay with yourself, then you can't be okay with anybody else. So as we teach all kinds of things in society that are very harmful and very dangerous. It's okay to shoot a gun. It's okay to kill. It's okay for some people to do that. But talk about the beauty of the human body, the erogenous zones, the health benefits, the sensitivity, the connection, the meaning, the intimacy, the necessity of human relations. And oh my God, people lose their mind. They lose their mind. Don't even talk about that. They'd rather talk about finances than talk about sex. And if they do talk about sex, they only talk about it as a conquest, usually lying through their teeth. So I'm saying that we need to talk about sexuality. We need to talk about sexual pleasure, and we need to talk about it with the person that we are most connected to and intimate with. That's who the person that we should be talking to. And not to just expect that that person knows what we need, knows what we want, knows what we fear. Because if your sex life is based on fear of rejection, fear of comparison, fear of any kind, then you're not really going to enjoy your sex life. These things have to be discussed. Remember that sex in its greatest form is a living art, just like yoga is a living art and dance is a living art. Well, so are sexual relations. And you wouldn't expect to be a yogi or a ballerina just because you saw a dance or you saw a posture. No, those people practice and practice and practice and practice, and they get better and better. And then one day they're really good. Well, it's the same thing with sex. Just because you have genitals doesn't make you a master lover. You have to practice, and you have to be accepting of your body, and you have to like your body, and you have to like yourself, and you have to know that you deserve pleasure. So these are all kind of considerations that need to take place when you're going to have sexual relations with another person. We all have the capacity to love, and we are taught to love through the many relationships that we have. But when it comes to the sexual relationship in particular, I would like to say that there are a few agreements that must be made between the two parties. And number one is that this sexual encounter is for the pleasure of both, not just one, of both. It's not a decision that one person is going to take over. Both partners are there to give to one another. The second thing to remember is that if one of those partners happens to be a woman, it takes the average woman about 20 minutes of physical and mental stimulation to become aroused enough to be able to have an orgasm. And if you are not willing to invest at least 15 to 20 minutes of physical and mental foreplay to arouse the woman in your bed so that she produces enough fluid in her vagina and pumps up enough blood in her vaginal walls and clitoris to be able to have an orgasm, then you need to whack off by yourself, because that's how long it takes, especially if this person that you're with is a virgin and you're going to be her first lover. It should never be about rushing, ever. And you should never let your genitals lead the way. The impression that you make on a woman in her first few sexual encounters, no matter how old she is going to be the foundation of what she understands sexual pleasure to be. And if it was over in less than 5 minutes and he comes and she doesn't, that's going to be her impression. And if you're any kind of a lover, that you want to think that you are the man, then you want to give her the time that she's going to need to get excited enough so that she too can have an orgasm. Remember, every woman is potentially multi-orgasmic. If you want to be the lover that introduces her to sexual pleasure and even multi-orgasm, it has to be done with sensitivity and intention. You can't be in a rush to get in and pump away. It's not that kind of a thing. And if that's your approach to your sexuality, don't be surprised when you're not very popular with the ladies. And if you should be married, don't be surprised if she eventually cheats on you, because nobody will want to put up with that for the rest of their life. Nobody. And remember, as when it comes to arousing a woman, especially if she's a virgin, wait until she invites you in. Like the saying says, don't put the dough in the oven until the oven is hot. The more experienced you are, the more you'll want to teach your lover and the more you'll want to learn about them. Sensitivity is the most important area of your growth, and it is your guide. If you are listening to your sensitivity, if you are feeling with it, then it's going to teach you a lot about yourself and about your partner. If you just bulldoze past it, then you're establishing some really bad habits, and your sex life will never quite be as satisfying as you'd like it to be. And I know this is going to be a little strange, but meet your partner with equal passion. I mean, it's okay to sometimes overwhelm somebody with your passion. That's sometimes that can be exciting, but doing it every single time is not exciting. Doing it every single time becomes same old, and it's really just a bulldozing tactic to get in, get it done, and get it over with. And if you love someone, the aspects of your sexuality should include the care of that person, your responsibility in the relationship to please them, your respect for their body, and your knowledge of them and what they need. You combine all of those things together, along with technique, sensitivity, and intention, and you truly will become one of the greatest lovers. So I hope that this was an interesting talk for you and that you enjoyed it. Please visit me again next week when I'm going to finish up this book, and then I'll be getting on to other topics. Join me for the last subject on becoming the world's greatest physical lover. This is your host, Ellen Nicholas, sensuality consultant, author, and lover of love. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. Please join me again next Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, do your Kegel exercises and take care of yourselves. Namaste.